Broadcasting on Facebook. Just want you to all know I'm broadcasting on Facebook here, beginning to broadcast. And actually, there is some work going on there, so I might have to once in a while, turn my attention towards my laptop to see if some messages are coming. So sorry about that. So I said I'll teach today, and then tomorrow is a big major thing going on, and I'll have to be, watching things. So no class tomorrow, but then Saturday evening I will have the class like that. Okay, so we're going to get started, and please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. I will start with a short prayer to the spiritual master. Om Jnanatimarandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Vina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're going to study from the Bhagavad-gita today, where we left off from last time, and welcome to this class. Before we go further, I wanted to check on Varshana Mataji to see how she's doing, because last I checked she was sick. And
I'm absolutely fine, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Very, very good, because he gave me the scare. And then Vindhyavali Mataji, how are things at your place? And you are speaking on mute.
Yeah, just now he was talking to my daughter. Is there going on? That's all in our rehab center. They moved to rehab center. It's going on.
They moved her there?
It will take a long way, Mataji.
Long way. Yeah, it is. It's a long-going thing. We also have a ISV congregation, young girl, about 5 years old. Her name is Gauri. And she had gone to India and she had contracted COVID, and she came back to USA a few weeks ago. And then she's also very sick. She's on a ventilator. So some of you had requested that we start our session here with prayers, praying from the Narsingam Kavach. So I will recite that. And after that, we will go and continue with our Bhagavad Gita, which is one and the same thing. Krishna, it's just a different variety of Krishna Katha. Okay, so let's see. I thought I had that open. Yeah. So I'm going to start sharing the screen with you. I'm going to read it in English so that everybody understands that. And just let me know when you can see my screen here. Can you?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, fantastic. And
yes, Mataji.
Very good. Okay. I'm just checking whether we are broadcasting on Facebook, and we are. Okay. Namaste Narasimhaya. Paladaladadanine Viranyakashipu Vashaha Shilatan Kana Kalaye Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha Bahir Narsimha Hirdaye Narsimho Narsimha Madim Sharanam Prapadye Tavakare Kamala Vare Nakam Atut Shindam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhinam Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Narsimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. So now reading from the Narsingham Kavacham. I shall now recite the Narsingham Kavacha, formerly spoken by Prahlad Maharaj. It's most pious, vanquishes all kinds of impediments, and provides one all protection. It bestows upon one all opulences and can give one elevation to the heavenly planets or liberation. One should meditate on Lord Narsimha, Lord of the universe, seated upon a golden throne. His mouth is wide open, he has 3 eyes, and he is as radiant as the autumn moon. He is embraced by Lakshmi Devi on his left side, and his form is the shelter of all opulences, both material and spiritual. The Lord has 4 arms, and his limbs are very soft. He is decorated with golden earrings. His chest is resplendent like the lotus flower, and his arms are decorated with jewel-studded ornaments. He is dressed in a spotless yellow garment, which exactly resembles molten gold. He is the original cause of existence beyond the mundane sphere for the great demigods headed by Indra. He appears bedecked with rubies, which are blazingly fulgent. His 2 feet are very attractive, and he is armed with various weapons such as conch, dish, etc. Garuda joyfully offers prayers with great reverence. Having seated Lord Nrsimhadev upon the lotus of one's heart, one should recite the following mantra. May Lord Nrsimha, who protects all the planetary systems, protect my head. Although the Lord is all-pervading, he hid himself within the pillar. May he protect my speech and the results of my activities. May Lord Nrsimha, whose eyes are the sun and fire, protect my eyes. May Lord Nrhari, who is pleased by the prayers offered by the best of sages, protect my memory. May he who has the nose of a lion protect my nose, and may he whose face is very dear to the goddess of fortune protect my mouth. May Lord Nrsimha, who is the knower of all sciences, protect my sense of taste. May he whose face is beautiful as the full moon and who's offered prayers by Prahlad Maharaj protect my face. May Lord Nrsimha protect my throat. He is the sustainer of the earth and the performer of unlimitedly wonderful activities. May he protect my shoulders. His arms are resplendent with transcendental weapons. May he protect my shoulders. May the Lord who bestows benedictions upon the demigods protect my hands, and may he protect me from all sides. May he who is achieved by the perfect yogis protect my heart, and may Lord Hari protect my dwelling place. May he who ripped apart the chest and abdomen of the great demon Hiranyaksha protect my waist, and may Lord Nrhari protect my navel. He is offered prayers by Lord Brahma, who has sprung from his own navel. May he on whose hips rest all the universes protect my hips. May the Lord protect my private parts. He is the knower of all mantras and all mysteries, but he himself is not visible. May he who is the original Cupid protect my thighs. May he who exhibits a human-like form protect my knees. May the remover of the burden of the earth, who appears in the form which is half man and half lion, protect my calves. May the bestower of heavenly opulence protect my feet. He is the supreme controller in the form of a man and lion combined. May the 1,000-headed supreme enjoyer protect my body from all sides and in all respects. May that most ferocious personality protect me from the east. May he who is superior to the greatest heroes protect me from the southeast, which is presided over by Agni. May the supreme Vishnu protect me from the south, and may that person of blazing luster protect me from the south. May the Lord of everything protect me from the west. His faces are everywhere, so please may he protect me from this direction. May Lord Nrsimha protect me from the northwest, which is predominated by Vayu, and may he whose form is in itself a supreme ornament protect me from the north, where Soma resides. May the all auspicious Lord, who himself bestows all auspiciousness, protect from the northeast, the direction of the sun god, and may he who is death personified protect me from the fear of death and rotation in this material world. This Narsimha Kavacha has been ornamented by issuing from the mouth of Prahlad Maharaj. A devotee who reads this becomes freed from all sins. Whatever one desires in this world can be attained without doubt. One can have wealth, many sons, and a long life. He becomes victorious who desires victory and indeed becomes a conqueror. He wards off the influence of all planets, earthly, heavenly, and everything in between. This is the supreme remedy for the poisonous effects of serpents and scorpions, and Brahma Rakshasa ghosts and Yakshasas are driven away. One may write this most auspicious prayer on his arm or inscribe it on a palm leaf and attach it to his wrist, and all his activities will become perfect. One who regularly chants this prayer, whether once or thrice daily, he becomes victorious, whether among demigods, demons, or human beings. One who, with purified heart, recites this prayer 32,000 times, attains the most auspicious of all auspicious things, and material enjoyment and liberation are already understood to be available to such a person. This Kavacha mantra is the king of all mantras. One who attains it, once who attains by it, what would be attained by anointing oneself with ashes and chanting all other mantras? Having marked one's body with tilaka, taking achimana with water and reciting this mantra 3 times, one will find that the fear of all inauspicious planets is removed. That person who recites this mantra, meditating upon Lord Nrsimhadev, has all his diseases vanquished, including those of the abdomen. Lord Nrsimha roars loudly and causes others to roar. With his multitudes of arms, he tears the demons asunder and kills them in this way. He is always seeking out and tormenting the demonic descendants of Diti, both on this earth planet and in the higher planets, and he throws them down and scatters them. He cries with great anger as he destroys the demons in all directions. Yet with his unlimited hands, he sustains, protects, and nourishes the cosmic manifestation. I offer my respectful obeisances to the Lord who has assumed the form of a transcendental lion. Iti Narsimha Kavacha Sampurnam Hari Om. Okay, so then now we will go and offer these prayers to Nrsimhadev and ask and request him to protect all of us, and particularly Trina and Gauri. All right, so let's get going.
Mataji,
here.
the title of this one, what is just Narsimha prayer or what else is Mataji?
This is Narsimha Kavach.
Narsimha Kavach from where can I get it? This one?
Okay, I will load it to
Mataji, I'll send you.
Okay, thank you. Because I read in my own language, there is one Narsimha Kavach, I read that. But this one, I think this 30th sloka is very, this thing, Mataji. Garjanam Garjayantam Nijabhuja Patum Spotayantam Hatantam. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I have a hard stop. Yeah, I have a really hard stop today. So we will get going here now with text number, starting from text number 26, right?
Yeah, 26.
So, 26, right? So we had talked last time about, Krishna is talking to Arjuna about prescription of duties, because this whole chapter is about karma. And when we talk about karma, that means doing work. So then there's confusion in the mind that what should I do? If I'm doing devotional service, should I stop doing everything else that we are doing? So Krishna is now trying to explain these things to him. And he's saying that he himself sets a very good example to people by doing his duty. Because if he doesn't do his duty, then others will follow. And he brought in a very nice point over there that, if Krishna doesn't do his duty and the world starts following and, living the life whimsically, that is the time when one's Varna Sankara will be born, or unwanted population. And not because Arjuna decides to go to the war and kill everybody over there. And then, so then when it comes to doing the duty, Krishna is saying, do the duty. And so everybody will do the duty, but then, the consciousness behind, and the consciousness of the person who's behind that act is what matters the most, right? So he's saying that that's the ignorant people, they perform the duties with attachment to the results, right? That's what we read last time. And then, and the learned, they say, might similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path, okay? And now we'll go to text number 6 over here. And so before we go that, there is this thing which says, as ignorant perform the duty. So what do you understand when he says somebody is ignorant? What is your understanding of that? What do you think who do you think is an ignorant man?
Ignorance of duty?
So ignorance of duty is one form of ignorance. Okay. What else?
Ignorance that we are this body and not the soul.
And who said that for 5,000 points?
Chitra.
Chitra said that. Fantastic. Yeah. That is real ignorance. That not to know who you are, that I'm a soul and I'm not this body. That really is ignorance. Okay. So, so now Krishna is going to talk about, a little bit more on that side. So let's get going, starting the screen with you again. And 26.
Yeah, got it.
Na buddhi bhedam janayet. Na buddhi bhedam janayet. Ajnanam karma sanginam. Joshayet sarva karmani. Vidvam yukta samacharan. Na buddhi bhedam janayet. Ajnanam karma sanginam. Joshayet sarva karmani. Vidvan yukta samacharan. Na buddhi bhedam janayet. Ajnanam karma sanginam. Joshayet sarva karmani. Vidvam yukta samacharan. Synonyms: na means not, buddhi bhedam, disruption of intelligence, buddhi bhedam. Janayet, he should cause, right? Janan means to give birth, right? So you're the one who's giving birth to disruption of intelligence in others. Ajnanam, of the foolish. Karma sangina, who are attached to fruitive work. Joshayet, he should dovetail. Sarva, all. Karmani, work. Vidwan, a learned person. Yuktaha, engaged. Samacharan, practicing. And so there is this very nice word that Prabhupada uses all the time, and that is known as dovetail, right? So there's engineering behind this word, dovetail, and specifically and more so carpentry side of the engineering. And I just wanted to bring up this the image of a dovetail joint. And let me see, this might not be a very good depiction, but okay, this is a good depiction here. I'll just try to tell you here, right? So if you focus on this particular picture, you will see, and what are you going to see here? Okay, so you see this piece over here. So this was a full block of wood, right? All the way, this was a full block coming up here. And the carpenter has cut out pieces of it so that what is remaining is this side, right? So you see these things. Now this looks like the tail of a dove, right? Kabutar. So, like that, because they do it like they spread their feathers and the tail becomes like that. So what happens is that when you want to join two pieces of wood together without using nails, right? So what you do is you cut one piece of wood like that, and on the other side of the wood with which you want to join it, then they will have an opening. They will have a hole over there which shapes like this so that it can go and enter. If I go back, having explained to you what a dovetail is, then I will show you here. So if you look at this particular piece of wood, right? So they will join wood together. Not a good example. You see this one, right? Here. So this is one, right? This is one piece. And in this light brown piece, they have made the hole. And inside that hole, this dark brown piece comes in and fits it. And it fits very, very nicely. So this is what dovetail means. When you are connected with something so snugly, it's a very, very snug joint, very, very tight joint. And it sustains itself without having to without you having to use nails and things like that. People might put extra nails for reinforcement and things like that, but otherwise they stay like that. So that's a dovetail. And Joshayet is what is known as a dovetail in Sanskrit. So Joshayet. Sarva, all. Karmani, work. Vidwan, right? It's an important word. Yuktaha, engaged. Samacharan, practicing. Right? So some very key words over here. The most important word from this particular shloka is buddhi bhedam, disruption of intelligence. Because Krishna is talking about that why he has to do work, right? And why he does work, right? And one of the things is that, whatever you do, you have to make sure that you don't cause disruption of intelligence in others, right? In other people. So let's see. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men, attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Vedescha sarver aham eva vedya. That is the end of all Vedic rituals. All rituals, all performances of sacrifices, and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all direction for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna. Vedescha sarver aham eva vedya. Who is Krishna? Who is the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification, regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not distribute others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. Okay, so I will open this up for a few minutes for discussions. So and thoughts. So what did you hear from this monologue?
Can I say?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that a Krishna conscious person, instead of trying to show an ignorant person what to do and how to behave, he can just by his own actions try to change a person who is very involved in fruitive activity, so that just by observing that Krishna conscious person, he will slowly change without having the feeling that he's being forced into it.
He's being forced into it. Very, very good. Right? And so Vaisheshika Prabhu, many a times he gives this example of, I think it's Saint Francis who says that to his disciples or students, he said that you have to preach 24/7. So 24 hours of the day you should be preaching. And because you are in the preaching line, so that's what you should do. So 24 hours per 7, if you're preaching, then he says, and sometimes you should talk, which means you're preaching by your example, right? So you can preach, and not follow it. Acharya is one who does whatever he's preaching to others to do, right? So if I just sit down here and I say, I neglect my duties, right? And I preach others and say, but you should do your duties. They just look at me and say, well, you don't do the duties and you are fine. Krishna's taking care of you. I'll say Krishna will take care of me, like that, right? And so that is the main point that is being driven in this particular verse, right? And so we have to understand that people are attached to the results of work. We are all attached to the results of the work, right? For example, when we go and try to get a new job, what do people say, right? There's an intense negotiation that goes on, right? I was earning this much in my previous job and I want more. I want this person raise. They'll come with an offer. You want a counter offer. Then they'll say, okay, take some shares. And then you say, this is not enough. Then they'll give you some more. And they'll say, okay, these shares will mature in 4 years. They'll say, no, 4 years. This goes on and on and on, right? So we're taking this job and the focus is there on the result of the job. So we are like that. We always focus on the results. And sometimes we might even focus on the results in our preaching activities, right? We preach and we expect the other person to become perfect because we preached. I'm something, right? I'm preaching, I'm telling others. Well, how come they're not changing? Right? Because I know the whole Gita. I can recite it. So Krishna is telling not to do that, right? For example, there's a very nice example that is given, by the other speakers. And one of them is that you are a 4th grade teacher, but you have a mathematics background and you teach them mathematics. So of course, you know calculus and you know trigonometry, you know all kinds of things, right? But to that 4th grader whom you are supposed to teach mathematics, if you go and tell them, concepts of trigonometry or concepts, integration, differentiation, and those kind of concepts there in mathematics, what's going to happen to the child? The child will be buddhi vedam. He will be confused. He will not know right? He will not know, he'll not understand because he's not capable of understanding. He's not at that level. And what's going to happen as a result? He is going to hate mathematics, right? So sometimes what we do is we know that there is higher mathematics, we know there's calculus, and we know the beauty of calculus. You know, mathematicians find calculus beautiful, by the way. So they love it all. And then there is somebody at a much lower level of understanding of mathematics. And our job, and similarly, if we apply that to philosophy or to spiritualism, right? We are at this level of spiritualism. We could be, right? And we're talking to somebody who is at this level. And we want to raise them. So when you want to raise them higher and bring them to a higher level of consciousness, what is that level of consciousness to which you bring them? Right? I am here and I want them to be here because I have a compassionate heart. I know the feeling that which is here, and I want them to do that. I want them to come here, right? So you have to elevate people. That's what preachers do. They have to elevate them. But the level to which you elevate them is not your level at which you are. You are to elevate them to the level they are capable at that time of being elevated to. So if a person comes into Krishna consciousness, you don't tell them 16 rounds every day. you slowly tell them, start 1 round, half round. We have a quarter round also, right? Which we use. Start them slowly because that's all that they're capable of doing. And if you put them on 16 rounds, then, you know, they'll run away. Next day you'll find them in a pub, right? So Krishna is saying that, you know, don't confuse people and don't bewilder them that, you know, by your actions. Okay? So sometimes, you know, and that is by, you know, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so you will you will want to preach and it's the right thing, you know that, right? But if you meet somebody who is a Shiva Bhakta and you start arguing with them and you tell them that Krishna is better, what's going to happen? Whenever you win an argument, you lose a friend. Your friend will be gone, right? And guess what? Now he's your enemy and he will pursue whatever he will pursue. So you let them do. You let them do whatever they're doing. Why? Because even if he's a devotee of Shiva, right? So when you are devoted to somebody, Shiva will be happy. And Shiva will give him the best thing that Shiva can give him. And what is the best thing that Shiva has? Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. He's the best of the Vaishnavas. He is a devotee of Krishna. He will give you devotional service to Krishna, right? So if we try to push them towards, you know, Krishna is the only one. Krishna is the one, Prabhu, Mataji, you don't know, like that. So there is some problem with our understanding of the whole thing. We don't understand Shiva then, right? He said Shambhu is a glance of Krishna. We read that in Brahma Samhita, right? So in this verse again, Krishna is telling, you know, speaking about these kinds of things and being a person who is at a higher level, it becomes very important for us, very, very important for us to be very careful of our actions because others are watching you and they are imbibing you. And sometimes the public is innocent and they will think that, you know, and this is how it should be done. And public is so very innocent. Vaishajika Prabhu tells about this story of there was a priest who was teaching his students how to perform a wedding ceremony. And so they had put the Havan Kund and all that they had put. And there was this cat that used to come and, you know, hover around that. Maybe the cat liked the colors of the Havan, you know, the fire pit a lot. And so that it was annoying and distracting the priest. So the priest asked his students to bring a basket. And then he, you know, cajoled the kitten to get inside the basket and he put a little cover on it. It was a bamboo basket. So the kitten was nicely inside, breathing. And he asked the students to put the basket on one corner of the room. And then he continued with the ceremony. And that's it. And a few years later, the priest passed away, right? And then these students also dispersed. And then, when they came up to the time that, they were to perform these ceremonies, they used to get a basket, they used to get a cat and put the cat in the basket and then perform the wedding ceremony. Why? Because they saw a senior do that and they thought this is how it is to be done. So very, very innocently, innocent people follow the leader. So it's very, very important for us that we follow. And two things to keep in mind. One is by doing what we are doing, right? By doing what we are doing, we can confuse other people. This example that I gave, right? By doing something. Now, let's come back to what priest and all, but let's come back to our Bhagavad-gita, right? Hear what is happening. So in the first chapter, we hear that everybody has, blown their conch shells. Panchajanyam Rishikesha, Devadatta Dhananjaya. So Panchajanya Rishikesha, Krishna has blown his Panchajanya conch shell, right? Devadatta Dhananjaya, Arjuna has blown his Devadatta conch shell, right? And then what happens? He says, put me in the middle of the two armies, and then there is action. Krishna takes him to the middle of the armies, and then there is this dialogue that's going on, and it's not going on in private. It's a public place. They are standing in the middle of the army, and Arjuna is talking something to Krishna, and he goes to the back, puts his Gandiva there, and there's conversation going on. And obviously, people who know Krishna, who know Arjuna as the valiant warrior, right? When they are watching him, Buddhi Bhedam Janaye, he's confusing the people in the army. You have come into the army. You are the best of the warriors. Fight, right? So we don't realize that. Arjuna is not realizing that, and Krishna is telling him that by your words and actions, you should not confuse the other people who are there around you. Right? Then, not doing your duty. This is also very, very important. And if people don't do their duties, actually there are laws that punish them very severely. For example, there's this famous personalities, and famous personalities are followed by what or by whom? Give me an example of types of people who might follow a famous personality. Physically follow. Yeah. Physically.
Like, yes, Mataji. Like you say, many people follow the Bollywood actors, you see, Amitabh Bachchan. So they really pray to him. They have his picture in their house, and they do diya to him also. And they try to speak the way he speaks. They try to walk the way he walks. And his dialogues, they try and learn and grasp them, and they try to do what he is doing. But what is he doing in his personal life? They are not aware.
They are not aware. Yeah, yeah. So that is So they are following in him in principle, right? So that is one way of following. And my question is, physically following them, physically. How, like, kids follow their parents. They go up, little kids, they catch their mother's hand, they follow, like that. Famous personalities are followed by. Give me some examples of who could be following the famous personalities. Think of a famous personality and then think what happens when they come out in the public.
Common man follow.
Common people. Okay. Not Mahatma Gandhi. I'm asking about when there's a famous person. Who are what are the types of people that you see around them?
Lonely.
Sorry?
Those who doesn't
Fans.
know the reality of
fans. Did somebody say fans?
Yeah, I said fans.
Okay, Chitra is on the roll today. Yeah, so they are followed by the fans, right? Okay, so that's one category of people who follow them, the fans. Okay. Who else?
Devotees.
Yeah. Huh? Devotees will follow. Okay, devotees will follow.
Or spiritual leaders.
Okay, devotees will follow a spiritual leader. That's one category of people. The fans will follow. Huh?
The critics. The critics.
The critics will follow. Yeah, right. The critiques will follow them, right?
Politicians.
Okay, they'll
and
follow
a lot of kids are follow because they feel lonely.
Yes, okay, so kids will follow them, right?
Photographers will follow, Mataji.
And ignorant people follow, Mataji. Those who don't have that.
Just like that.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Media also follows them. You see,
Media. I was looking for the word. Yeah. I was also looking for the word security guards.
Yes.
Right? They always follow them. So they're followed by security guards, and then media. Media is there, right? So you see, and there are photographers, and then there is the paparazzi, right? Then the Greek word for photographers who will constantly follow you and try to take your pictures and publish them for good money. And so if a famous personality is there in a car, and the paparazzi is following them on a motorcycle behind them, and if the car is involved in a crash, and the famous personality flies out of the car and falls on the ground, his head bleeding, what is the paparazzi supposed to do?
Call 911, but instead they take pictures.
But they are taking pictures.
Princess Diana.
So you see, so you see that if you don't do actions, that also is bewildering and wrong. Sometimes not doing their actions, right? So Krishna is telling that, you don't bewilder the minds of people, and that is why he's saying that I do things. In the previous verse, he's saying that I do things, right? Because I don't want to bewilder the mind. Here he's saying, because if people don't do that, is also something which is wrong. You have to do it. Classic example from our scriptures, right? Little Dhruv Maharaj, 5-year-old boy, runs to his father's, right? And tries to climb on his lap, and where his step brother is also seated. And his father is seated with his wife, and who is Dhruv Maharaj's stepmother. So Dhruv Maharaj's father is sitting with Dhruv Maharaj's stepmother, and his stepbrother is in father's lap, and he's a 5-year-old boy. He doesn't understand the nuances of things, and he tries to climb on the lap of his father. And then the stepmother starts speaking, obnoxious things, and says that he has to get down, and forces him to get down, and Prahlad Maharaj gets down. And his eyes are full of, he's very angry, and his eyes are full of tears because his father did not speak a word to his wife, right? He could have chastised the wife, he could have told her to behave herself properly. And after all, when she married, she knew that the king was already married, right? So it's not that this is news to her. She walked into the marriage with eyes open, and yet this behavior, right? So he did not do that. And he did not do that. So Krishna, his father's not doing him bewildered him so much. He got angry, cried, and then of course he went off the forest, and then we know the rest of it is there, which is history. Okay, so if you go back to a verse, I'm just picking up some of the things there. So so that is why they're saying that if a person is a realized soul, right? If a person is realized soul, he sometimes will let others do whatever they want to do, right? And sometimes they will do things to set an example. Now, another good one from our scriptures is, it comes in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is the story of Kardam Muni. So Kardam Muni's story is that Kardam Muni was, praying in a place called Bindu, in a place which is now called Bindu Sarovar. And he was praying to the Lord so ardently that Krishna, the Lord Krishna, he felt so touched by the devotional service of Kardam Muni that his tears rolled out of Krishna's eyes. And those tears fell where he was doing his tapasya. And that place became a lake from the tears. And that is known as Bindu Sarovar. A lot of people now go, or in those days used to go to Bindu Sarovar. I don't even know whether Bindu Sarovar is accessible to people during the Kali Yuga. It's up there in the Himalayas. So the interesting thing is that you will find sometimes in the scripture that descriptions that appear to be mind-boggling, dimensions that appear to be mind-boggling of things, and they also do not tally with what you see in real life. Right? For example, Mount Everest, right, which Hillary and Tenzing climbed, right, for the first time, and Edmund Hillary and Tenzing, right? So it is described as 29,000 feet or something like that tall. And if you look at the scriptures where they are describing the Himalayas, they are many, many miles tall. So how do I correlate this distinction, this apparent, discrepancy between what science is telling me, and science has got very accurate ways of measuring height. They apply trigonometry, by the way, heights and distances, they can do that. And so how do I understand this discrepancy? And which is explained away by what is known as the adhikar, that I do not have the adhikar to see certain things. So these big mountains, and when we were discussing in the Brahma Samhita class where I was talking about the Bhumandala, where we are, the circle where we are, there was a description of a mountain of gold, which is very, very tall, and about 80,000 miles tall. So if there is a mountain 80,000 miles tall, why don't I see it? Right? Why can't I see it? If I go to the open places in Foster City, from here I can see the buildings in San Francisco. And they are not that tall. They're not even tall as Himalayas. I see them. But I can see Mount Sumeru, which is so tall that everybody should be able to see it. So there is something known as adhikari. You do not have the qualification to see those things like that. So, and so we need to keep that thing in mind, that you need to have qualifications, and also when you are preaching, you understand things, you are able to see things others might not have that qualification to see what you are seeing. And I always tell you this thing, that a mango is a mango, whether it is raw or whether it is ripe, it is still a mango. So in our preaching efforts, when we look at others, there could be various shades of green and various shades of yellow in them. Some will be very, very raw, and some will be beautiful golden yellow, and some will be beautiful golden yellow with blushes, with the red color blushes there, right? So you can have devotees in different stages of progress in devotional service. Now we all know, if you touch a ripe mango, it is nice and soft. If you take a raw mango, it is hard, right? It's very, very hard. So if something is very hard, how do you make it soft? Well, have something as hard as ice. How do you make it soft? You crush it. It becomes soft, right? So similarly, if you want to take a raw mango and you want to convert that into a ripe mango, you take a big rolling pin and you start beating it. It's not going to happen, right? So this verse is also telling us this, that just by forcing others to come to that level, a raw mango will not become a ripe mango. What the raw mango needs is the warmth. It needs the warmth of the sun. It needs sunlight, and it needs water to be able to become a ripe mango. And so when you come across a devotee who's a raw mango, you don't take a stick and start beating them. A stick could be the tongue and start telling them, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, right? Instead, you will elevate them to the level where they can be elevated. They can be elevated, right? So, and how will you do that? You will become the rain and the sunshine in their lives. You will become the shower, right? The cooling shower when they need it. And you will become, the sunshine which will nurture them. So you will do that. Okay. And because we don't want them to get confused. And there is a lot of confusion already around us. Like if you look at the television, right? And you see there's a hunk of a man. When I used to watch the television, I remember it was for some burger. And so this very handsome guy is holding a burger and he's chomping it in slow motion. And, the ladies can swoon looking at that. And then he's eating it as you're watching and you're thinking, oh, wow, burger. Sonal Sukumal is laughing. I think she remembers that. And then a beautiful lady, comes by. And so he looks at her, throws away the burger and goes after the lady. And then there's in the ad, they say like, yeah, if you find something better than our burgers, go for it. Right? So advertisement people are very good at confusing your mind. What does a child think? You are eating a burger, you can just throw it away if you find something better. So you see, by our actions, we are forming impressions in other people's minds. And we have to be very, 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 particular about not letting that happen. And the media, the media is famous for that, right? That's why the paparazzi will go there and they'll try to show what these famous people are doing in their private life, and others will also want to do that. Well, she does it and I want to do that. He does it and I want to do that, right? So it's very, very important. So preaching is step by step gradual approach. Even Krishna doesn't do that. Even Krishna doesn't do that to us. He has given us free will. He doesn't force. Even to Arjuna, he says, okay, this and this and this and this, 18 chapter worth of it. And then in the end, he says, you do whatever you want to do. He doesn't force him to say, okay, I've told you, I haven't gotten it, didn't understand it. You should understand it. How come you don't understand? He doesn't see any of that. He leaves that option to Arjuna to choose. So similarly, we should also let them choose and have faith in Krishna, have faith in Prasadam, have faith in the holy names of the Lord, that by pursuing all that, they will be able to, do that. So I will open the class now for further questions for the next 12 minutes on reflections. Go ahead.
She's a little one, Mataji.
Say that again. Hey, how are you? Hare Krishna.
Say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hey, what's your name?
Hare Krishna.
What is your name?
Prashanti.
Prashanti. Beautiful name. So Prashanti, she's your granddaughter?
Little one, her sister.
Shubhara. Oh, her younger sister you were mentioning. Okay. Okay, good.
She came
Very
here.
Good. She came here with you, yeah. Okay, good.
Okay, go ahead.
Say that again. I didn't hear that.
She said that she'll go back.
Yeah,
oh,
she said she'll go back.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. So tell me, what do you think? What have been your thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, I was thinking that some people, I cannot tell that devotee, but some people, they listen Krishna Katha, sometimes they read, and the quarter round, what you mentioned, they chant. But still, there were not a single change, means they did not change. It means a single bit of anything. The persons they are where they were before. So, but when you told the last point, like have faith in Krishna, have faith in Prasadam, how they will change. So I liked that point of the most. So
Yeah.
I was thinking how they will change. But one thing I have to keep in mind that it will take a lot of time. I don't know when. And really we have to keep with Krishna.
Exactly. And we have to again remember that if we are thinking about when that person is going to change, then we are focusing on the result.
And yes,
right? Your
Mataji.
job is to preach. Your job is to think like, I'm telling him, and let Krishna manage the rest of it. Let Krishna manage the rest of it, right? And we don't stop them from doing anything. So 2 things I'm going to say to that. One is that Vaishika Prabhu again gives a very nice example of he once went to San Francisco during the Yatrata to distribute some books. Now, and it happens in the summers, but we also know that the coldest place on this planet is San Francisco in summers. It's very cold. And so people usually dress in layers and things like that. That you go out and there'll be cloudy skies and that kind of thing. So it was a cold, cloudy day, and he just went out without his sunscreen. He said, "There's no sun. I don't need a sunscreen." And the next day, guess what? He was sunburned. And so what happens is that even if the sun was not there, you were not able to perceive it. And the sun was slowly burning the skin, but you could not perceive it. This is known as an imperceptible change. So for the 8 hours that he was there, the sun slowly burned him to a level that the skin was about to burst, and it did do that the next day, right? So similarly, for the person who are on a quarter round, their progress is imperceptible to you. How do you expect? What were you expecting? How would you know that they have improved? How would you know? What is that yardstick by which you know? We can't know that because there's a lot of things that go inside the mind, the cleansing that happens inside the mind. You didn't see the mind before the quarter round, and you don't see their minds after the quarter round, right? I mean, one progress in devotional service would be they are listening to you and they are still in connection with you because you don't know what the mind is telling them. Every day the mind could be telling them, don't talk to Sutapa. She's pushing you in some other direction. There's no goodness over there. Life is going to be dull when you take Krishna consciousness. Don't go there. But somehow they win over that argument and they still talk to you. That is progress. Why? Because they have learned to conquer the mind, which is imperceptible to you because you don't know. Now, sometimes some of your people that you're preaching to will come and tell you. Some are very vocal, some are not vocal. Some might not tell you about that, right? So there's a lot that is imperceptible. We can't see. And a Mahatma, so I give the example of being a Duratma, right? And then a Atma, good Atma, Mahatma, and Sumahatma, right? So, the extreme, the bad people. What do bad people do? Well, if you have got something wrong about you, then they'll go and point that out to you, and then they'll also tell the whole world about it, right? And then the second are like that guy that you read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when there is no fault, and still they'll see a fault, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eats a lot of sweet things, although he's a sannyasi. And then what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu do? Immediately left it, right? Example, setting example. So there are bad Atma, Duratma, and Suduratma. Similarly, there are Mahatmas and Sumahatmas. And then there are Mahatmas. The Mahatmas will see the good in you, right? And Sumahatmas, they will see the good in you even when it is not there. And why do they see, even in it good is not there? Why are they talking to you? Why are they, doing this? Because they are Trikaldarshis. They can see your past, your present. They can also see your future. And in the future, they are already seeing you with all those good qualities. So as a preacher, you should also try to, get into that mood that, I'm giving them Krishna consciousness. So if I look at this guy 10 years down the line, Krishna's name would have had the effect on him. It doesn't matter. He's a raw mango, still showing green outside, but the inside is slowly turning yellow. You cannot see it, right? Like that. So unless you get into that mood, preaching is going to become a very frustrating exercise because nobody changes. Nobody suddenly develops wings and flies off to Golok Vrindavan. It doesn't happen. if all fall that, even worse things start happening to them in life. And then you're like, oh, like that. So that's what it is. And so when we are preaching, one of the things also to remember is that we don't ask them to stop doing whatever they are doing because of whatever level they are, right? Somebody might be full of wanting to buy lots of jewelries, or might want to put a lot of makeup on their face. And then, some might want to, eat and things like that. So Prabhupada did not tell anybody to stop any of these things: eating, meeting, mating, defending. He did not ask anyone, sleeping. He did not ask anyone us to stop any of that. He said, you want to eat? I will tell you what you should eat, right? You want to mate? I will tell you how you should and with whom you should, right? Like that. So for everything he gave us, he allowed us to do the whole thing, but he just gave us that gentle guidance. And as he was giving the gentle guidance that eat only prasadam, he was cooking at that age in a small kitchen for so many people. See? So no buddhi vedam, right? When you're saying that you should cook prasadam, and then when you're saying that prasadam is an important activity, you look at the great personality and you see the great personality taking great pains to make the prasadam for you. Then you think, aha, there must be something really good about the prasadam. That's why this great personality is going out of the way to do that, right? Vindavali for the last question of the day.
Yes, Mataji. See this, what Sutapa Mataji was saying, the preaching and other things. This little girl, the granddaughter, she knows everything, that Bhagavad-gita from the beginning. She tells that why that chariot was in between the two armies and everything. She knows everything. I tell her, one day I told her, I gave her Bhagavad-gita book, and I said, read one sloka per day and read the purport instead of reading other things. From that day onwards, she doesn't want to come to me. She never comes to me there in California. She never looks at my face, and she just spends upstairs only. I said, why? I asked you just this only. And if you can read only 1 hour or half an hour or one text. But if she wants, she will read it. She knows that she wants to read, she should read, and she knows that what the story is. I said, it's a kind of story, you read first, you will know something. But she has all the ideas. But when I tell, sometimes she thinks, no, why should I see? See, that kind of, how to force? I cannot force.
Don't force.
I don't
She's
want
already
to force
reading
it.
it. She's already reading it. Why do you have to force? She's already reading it, right?
But I told her, you're reading anyway. Just read one sloka and you read the whole thing, not a little bit only. No, but she knows who is Arjuna, who is Yudhishthir, who is the father.
Because if you force her, if you force her, she'll start hitting it, right?
Yeah, she does slowly. But okay, another question, Mataji. One more question I have. This Narayan Kavacha, I have confused. First, I confused a little bit that name of Viswarupa. He tells everything about all this, narrates that thing. I confused that Krishna's Viswarupa and this Viswarupa.
No.
But again, I got that he's a priest of. He is who was engaged by the demigods as their priest. It seems.
Yeah.
So then I realized that. Then the first I got confused a little bit, and that first Achmani thing also, I kept on reading that every day. I'm reading this whole thing. That Narayan
right. And if you are reading if you are reading it over and over again and you're getting confused by the Achmana, if you remember, I had said in the beginning that in the entire Narayana Kavacha, you should focus on that verse that says very clearly that chanting the holy names of the Lord will get you everything. And in the Kali Yuga, it is very difficult for us to do these kind of activities, right? So there's no point doing that. The Yuga Dharma, the yuga in which you are born, in this yuga, they say that you should chant the holy names of the Lord. And if we decide to ignore that and we say, no, I'm going to do Achman, this and that, and this and that, then we are going against the teachings of the parampara and also against the Yuga Dharma.
Yeah, I was reading whole chapter that every day.
Yeah.
And that's
what
where
the focus is. The focus should not be on the achmans.
Yeah.
And
I'm just asking
to take
you, that's all.
Yeah.
I'm just
saying focus should not be on the achamana or those ritualistic parts of it. And in today's verse also it says that, right? The last few lines of today's verse also says that just focus on chanting the holy names of the Lord. Just focus on that.
Now they are mentally little bit changing everything. So because of this, thank you very much for telling me to read that.
Good.
So for today, in
Thank
after
you,
10 days,
Mataji.
it is a little bit changed.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you.